Hi everyone, my name's Tobias Deutsch. Before I get started, I just wanted to say that it's been super fun reading what you guys had to post on the discussion boards and reading your guys' comments to me as well. They've been very, very informative and very, very helpful to me. Um, the information that I want to present today, I found very, very interesting, and I hope you find it the same way. So to introduce my primary source, it's something that we all had to watch. It was The Truth Behind Zombies. And there was a lot of information in that, so I wanted to sort of trim it down to one specific section. And that specific section was the portion where they talked about diseases jumping from one species to the next. So their examples were the swine flu, the avian flu, stuff like that. The secondary source that I found actually comes from TED Talks. And if you guys aren't familiar with TED Talks, it's once a year they sort of get the best and brightest minds from a different sort of aspect of science, and they bring them all together and they sort of discuss what they want to talk about for that TED Talks. And in this one, the TED Talk that I found, it's called Suicidal Crickets, Zombie Roaches, and Other Tales. And it's the speaker is a guy named Ed Yong. And I know we're supposed to say if we think it's an appropriate source or a source that should be cited. And I think he definitely stands as someone that is professional. He is reliable. He has a Master of Philosophy in Biochemistry and a Bachelor's in Natural Sciences. So when it comes to parasites, this guy definitely knows what's going on. So what I wanted to do was talk about several of the parasites that he discusses and sort of compare them to that sort of jump from one species to the next. So I want to talk about a couple parasites. The first one is called Artemia, that's the thing that's infected. It's infected by a tapeworm. If you've never heard of Artemia, perhaps you've heard of sea monkeys. That's basically what they are. And what the worm does is after it infects the sea monkey, it does two very strange things to the sea monkey. First of all, it turns it bright pink, and secondly, it makes them all sort of glom or hoard together. And the reason that it does that is so that it can continue its reproductive cycle, because it needs to be inside of a flamingo in order to continue its life cycle. So by turning its prey bright pink and making it hoard together, it makes the flamingo spot it a lot easier. And I think those two traits can very well be sort of compared to our sort of zombie talk where they hoard together and biophysically their appearance changes. So I think that was very, very useful. The second parasite causes suicidal crickets. And again, it's another worm. And once the larvae is swallowed by the cricket, the worm starts to develop. It releases a protein that causes the cricket to seek out water even though it doesn't swim. The crickets dive into the water, drown themselves, and then the tapeworm emerges, once again to just continue the tapeworm's life cycle. So for this parasite, we have that sort of lack of control, which I think we've seen in many of the zombie films and shows that we've had to watch. The third parasite is a parasitic wasp, which infects caterpillars. So basically, the wasp lays eggs inside of the caterpillar. They develop. Most of them leave the caterpillar's body to create their own cocoon to metamorphosize into their sort of larger form. However, a couple of the aphids stay inside of the caterpillar to control the caterpillar, basically making it a standby soldier while their brothers and sisters sort of evolve further. Which again is, that whole loss of control and being controlled by an outside force. The fourth parasite is the emerald cockroach wasp. And basically what that one does is the wasp has a stinger that it basically jabs the stinger into the cockroach's brain and releases some sort of neurotoxin, which sort of sedates the cockroach without killing it. And so basically the cockroach turns into a shambling corpse that can still walk, which once again, says zombie to me. So you may be asking, well, what does that have to do with us? We're talking about worms, we're talking about cockroaches, we're talking about sea monkeys. What does it have to do with us? Well, this is where it kind of gets interesting because the last parasite that I want to talk to you guys about is called Toxoplasma gondii. And it's referred to as toxo for the remainder of this because I don't want to say that over and over and over again. But the thing that's different about toxo is it actually infects mammals. The mammal that it usually infects is mice or rats. And once again, it's because of a life cycle. The toxo has to get inside of the cat's gut in order to reproduce. So what it does is it releases a protein into the rat's brain, and when the rat smells cat pee, it makes the rat make a beeline towards the source of that odor. So basically, it goes to its own death so that the parasite can survive. Um, Now here's where it's sort of the rubber hits the road. Are you 100% positive that all the decisions that you've made in the past 24 hours have been your own? And there is a study that says that that may not be the case if you think you have made all of your own decisions. And the reason that is because 1 in 3 humans are infected with the toxovirus. Now, what does that mean to humans in general? Well, studies have shown that people that are infected with toxo, they lean towards schizophrenia, they score differently on personality tests, and they have higher incidences of car accidents, so they have that sort of loss of control. The studies are still sort of up in the air on that, but I think we as a species shouldn't be so proud as to assume that we are immune to little creepy crawlies inside of us sort of dictating what we do. I think that's a very silly assumption for any of us to make. So what does this have to do in general? If we're talking about things that can jump from species to species, could there potentially be a mutation that could cause human beings to turn into zombies? If we combined the sort of horde mentality of the tapeworm and the biophysical change of the tapeworm, and we combined it with the lack of control that happens to the cockroach and the caterpillar, and we combined it with a neurotoxin that changes how we do and what we do, what we would have is, in general, one giant bug that could turn the human population into a zombie. So I think the secondary source does show how it's possible for different parasites to make that jump, different diseases to make that jump, and I certainly hope it doesn't happen very soon. If you guys want to check out his video, it's much more informative than this one. The title of the TED Talks, again, is Suicidal Crickets, Zombie Roaches, and Other Tales. It's 13 minutes long. It's available on YouTube, and he does a lot of pictures and videos. So if you want to see the creepy crawlies that I'm talking about, I highly recommend you go there. I can't wait to hear your comments, and I can't wait to watch your videos. Have a great evening.